This video is in continuation with the abiotic factor, which is light and soil. In the previous video we have already discussed about two abiotic factors, that is temperature and water, and now we are going to discuss about light. Light light is an important source of energy by which the organisms are dependent. As we know that the available source of energy on earth is sun, and the light is very important for the preparation of food in plants, as most of the plants are autotrophic in nature. In herbs and shrubs, the presence of light is very optimal, as they are adapted, or they are growing in forest, so they are adapted to photosynthesize optimally under very low light conditions, because they are constantly overshadowed by the tall trees. Therefore they are adapted to photosynthesize under optimal conditions. Whereas there are certain plants that are dependent on light to meet their photoperiodic requirements, that is the period of light required by the plants for the process of flowering. Apart from plants, there are certain animals who are most active during day, and these animals are called diurnal plants. These diurnal plants requires light for their variety of activities, such as for foraging, reproduction and migration. Therefore we can say that availability of light on land is closely linked with that of the temperature and the interaction of temperature with respect to that light. Depending on various wavelengths of light, there are certain algae such as red algae, brown algae and green algae. They inhabit in the sea. Now coming to one question, that is, among the red algae, green algae or the deepest sea communities, we can say which is likely to be present in the deepest water and why. As we know, the deepest sea community which inhabit there is the brown algae, because there is absence of light, and because of that absence of light and the wavelength of light, that makes it more inhabitant or more comfortable for the brown algae to live under deepest seas. And other parameters are like increase in barometric pressure and extremes of temperature also helps to organism to live in the biomes of deep sea community. Now coming to the next abiotic factor, that is soil. The nature and properties of soil is very important for any organism to thrive in soil, as soil is developed by the natural process, that is of change in climate, the weathering process. These all depend, these all are the factors on which the soil is, or the soil development is dependent, and the soil requires various factors by which it may help an organism to inhabit themselves in soil, that are composition of soil, its grain size and its aggregation, as these characteristics helps us or the organism to determine the percolation or the water holding capacity of the soil, depending on which the organism thrives. Now there are certain other parameters like that of pH, mineral composition and topography, which also helps few types of plants to be cultured or grown in a particular geographical area, depending on which the type of animal also dictates or support in that environmental area. Now coming to the responses to these abiotic factors. The abiotic conditions of many habitats vary drastically with respect to time as well as with respect to the abiotic factors. That is, the habitat or the organism have to cope up with the stressful conditions or with the abiotic factors. During this course of existence, various species have evolved with relatively constant internal temperature or the environment that permits biochemical reactions and physiological reactions to proceed with maximal efficiency. Therefore, the organism should try to maintain the constancy of internal environment despite varying external environmental conditions. And this process in which an organism is maintaining its constancy is called as homeostasis. Homeostasis is the factor and that leads to variety of possibilities among the organism. First is regulation, or an organism can regulate its physiological processes, or an organism can maintain its homeostasis by regulating the physiological conditions in terms of body temperature and osmotic concentration. When the temperature is regulated, that is called thermoregulation, and when the osmotic concentration is regulated, it is called osmoregulation. There is a mechanism in mammals to regulate their body temperature. For example, there is an organism who wants to maintain his constant body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius in case of summer. Then he is going to sweat profusely so that this results in cooling with the help of evaporation, and this evaporation brings down the temperature, thereby leading to the regulation of temperature at 37 degrees Celsius in case of mammals. On the other hand, during winter, the organism can shiver vibrantly, as it is a kind of exercise and it produces heat, and this increases the body temperature, thus the thermoregulation can be maintained. There are plants who cannot maintain or who do not have the mechanism to maintain this internal temperatures. Now coming to the another response to abiotic factor is that of conformer. Conformers are the organisms that do not able to regulate the temperature, because it is an energetic process and all the organisms cannot afford to regulate temperature. Therefore, there are organisms who can change their body temperature with respect to the temperature. That is mostly in cases of aquatic animals they change their osmotic concentration of the body, and thus by changing the osmotic concentration of body fluids, they can able to withstand the temperature change or the osmotic concentration changes. These are the plants and animals who are simply called as conformers. As we know that thermoregulation is an energetically expensive for a number of organisms, so the small animals who cannot able to thermoregulate, for example that of shrews and hummingbirds, the heat loss or gain depend, or it is a function of surface area. The animals who have small volume can able to lose their body temperature enormously during cold weather, or we can say the small animals have large surface area that are relative to their volume, and they tend to lose body heat very fast when it is cold. Therefore, they have to expend much energy to generate heat through metabolism, so they can easily able to thrive in polar regions. With response to stressful external conditions, the organisms may also have other two alternatives, that is they can migrate or they can suspend. In migration, the organism can move temporarily from the stressful habitat to a more hospitable area and return when the unfavorable or stressful period overs. For example, in case of Siberian cranes. Another is suspension or suspend. They can suspend their growth. For example, in case of bacteria, fungi and lower plants, they can produce thick-walled spores under unfavorable conditions, and on arrival of favorable conditions they germinate and lead to their reproduction. Whereas in case of higher plants, there comes a state of dormancy where the seeds or the vegetative reproductive structures do not germinate under unfavorable conditions, moisture and temperature conditions, so they become metabolically active and reach to the state of dormancy. There are certain animals like polar bears who go for winter sleep. And few go for summer sleep to avoid summer related problems like heat and desiccation. And there are certain zooplanktons who suspend the stages of development in lakes and ponds and enter into a stage of diapause. Thank you. And that's all with the response to abiotic factors.